Connected cloud. Hello and welcome to the session on Numicon and the new curriculum. My name is Margie Leach. I've been a teacher for many years and the director of EduShop. I'm going to present from a little presentation for you to follow along. So it's just taking a while to connect to the internet. Because, here we go. Numicon and the new curriculum, te mataiaho. So welcome. Enjoy this session. I hope it's helpful for you. If you have questions, there will be an opportunity to raise your hand or put your questions into the chat at the end. I welcome Anita and Jeanette who are joining me this afternoon. So this presentation is going to cover the Numicon pedagogy in brief, because that's how it fits with the curriculum. Numicon and the new curriculum links. Any future webinars will cover Numicon in depth, planning and assessment, using the equipment and more. Look out for these through next week and through January and February. So with te mataiaho, understand, know and do. Numicon has the same goals. And we do not want children doing activities mindlessly. Understanding has to be paramount. So under the understand model, these deep, big ideas, patterns and variations, logic and reasoning, visualization and application are seen in the Numicon approach, with an emphasis on communication because maths is actually a language, exploring the relationships and generalizing. And generalizing takes in all three parts of the pattern, the logic and reasoning, visualization and application. Number, all of the strands are included with Numicon. And all of these activities, the processes, are also included with an addition of working systematically. Because when we work systematically, we see the patterns and variations. So the Numicon approach has these different aspects of learning through play, with communicating with self and with others, exploring relationships, that's why the equipment is so powerful, and then generalizing, full problem solving and putting maths into everyday life contexts. I want to introduce you to Tony Wing, who has led the writing of Numicon. The video takes a little while to get started.
I've been teaching now for teaching maths to young children and to students at university, and I'm still fascinated by the fact that so many otherwise intelligent people actually confess to having such difficulty with the subject. I've come to see that one of the major things that goes wrong is that mathematics gets very abstract very early for children. And if we're not careful, that means they lose confidence in their own thinking. Something's not quite right and they don't know what it is and they can't ask questions about it, but they just begin to lose their way without knowing why they are. Now, once they lose confidence in their own thinking, then they begin to stop expecting that they will understand and they give up and they just try to learn the rules. Many people will have done that. Many of you will have done that. And the trouble is, once you stop expecting to understand it, then of course it's very unlikely that you will. And before too long, children are going into maths lessons and hoping it'll all be over very soon. Now, I've also come to see that it doesn't have to be that way. There are ways of actually introducing number ideas to children in ways that make them real. And that's what we've been developing with Numicon. We make numbers real in the sense that they can see numbers and touch them and move them around and, in a sense, do arithmetic with them. And what we're finding almost universally is that this helps children keep their self-confidence in their understanding. When they see something to do with numbers, they believe it, they know it, they're very sure of themselves. And of course, the payoff from that is that as they face more and more mathematics, they tend to persist. And once you have children persisting and with confidence, then they will tend to understand.
Thank you, Tony. So when we look through the progress outcomes of understand, know and do, think about the teaching sequence and the year-by-year phases that the ministry has written. Numicon completely covers everything. Even in the teaching guidance, there is explicit teaching with a design to build a positive relationship with maths, rich tasks, and communication that is paramount. With the planning, an all statement of learning is provided. It's an inclusive teaching practice and a supportive teaching practice. Now, the delivery can be very flexible, but there are dedicated lessons. And the ministry has written 3 parts to our curriculum: getting started, working, connecting, and reflecting. And Numicon is designed with the same approach. So it also shows that throughout, when you read all the phases, it shows clearly, and under number, there are these aspects of what's involved with number. These are all covered with Numicon. These are the other strands. And to give you an example of our number structure and how the education happens with our curriculum and with Numicon, we're going to have a little look at it. This is the Cateno file, which you can download from Google. But it actually is a wonderful diagram that really should be displayed in every classroom. So we begin with the ones when children are up to 5-year-olds, and then we introduce them to the tens, then the hundreds, then the thousands. And then when they reach the 10,000s, we've discovered that they're also learning now about tenths, and then hundreds, and then thousands. And that's 8 years of learning, really, just in one diagram. But it does give you an overview of how the curriculum is written and how Numicon is written. Again, referring to the curriculum, you'll see that there are phases with the progression of knowledge through the years. And the ministry is very keen for us to know what comes after what we're teaching and what comes before what we're teaching, not just our year level. But you'll find that for all of those, the Numicon equipment can illustrate all of these points with links into measurement, and place value blocks are used. Now, the scope and sequence is a sequence of year by year, but it's not a sequence through each year. There's a lot more teaching that goes in behind these 4, for example. But with Numicon, you will find not only the scope of what's covered, but the sequence during the year. For example, this is year 01 firm foundations, and you can see that this is going to be the sequence of teaching. Now, looking at subitizing up there, there's a lot of teaching that actually happens before subitizing is possible. So with Numicon, subitizing is not introduced until card 4 or card 5. And each of these cards are 2 weeks worth of work. So that's approximately week 8 of term 1 before children begin to subitize. keep in mind that Numicon covers the entire curriculum. So we've got our year groups, our phases, and the Numicon level books. Numicon 5 has enough content to cover both Year 6 and Year 7, and more content is being written. I will show you more on that in a few slides on. You can download the New Zealand Curriculum Mapping Guide with Numicon from numicon.co.nz. So to help you find it, when you go to the Numicon NZ website, click on Resources, go down to Teaching Progressions, and that's where you will find the curriculum. So this is what it looks like on the website, and down in this corner is Download Here. Now, if you keep scrolling down that page, you will also discover the connection as a sample of Numicon 3, which is Year 4, the Teaching Progressions. So let's have a quick look inside this document. It begins with an introductory page, which I will let you read, and make sure that you read through all of these acronyms. When you see NPC, that is Number Pattern Calculating. So when you see NNS, Numbers in the Number System, Calc for Calculating, Pattern and Algebra, Geometry, Measurement and Statistics. And there will also be a separate Statistics and Probability section. So phase 1, and you'll see that number of structure is here, everything from the New Zealand curriculum with references in turquoise. And when you look at this document online through the Numicon online platform, all of these turquoise links are hyperlinks and will take you straight to that lesson. Phase 2, same. In phase 3. Now let's look a little bit more detail. When you unpack this and see GMS 2, that means Geometry, Measurement, Statistics 2 level, then MEA for Measurement, the 6.4 means the activity group 6 or chapter 6 and the focus activity 4. Where you see activity to follow, that activity is presently being written, and all the new activities will be available from April. These activities are usually used in terms 3 and 4, so you won't miss out on anything. Then during years 6 and 7, you'll notice that there is quite a step up of understanding for children. And so this book, NPC 4, referenced the previous year, NPC 5 this year. Whereas for year 7, it's going to be NPC 6 with a reference to those. Now, with your Numicon online subscription that we're giving you, you will have access to all of the years. Not just the year that you have to teach, but you will have access to all of the years so that you can go back. For example, this activity covers commutativity and associative properties of number and distributive. Well, these concepts began back in Numicon 2 and developed in Numicon 5. Associative, Numicon 3, Numicon 4, and then developed in Numicon 6. So that if you're working with the students in your class and they're not understanding this, that's the references that you can go back to online to bring them up to the appropriate year level of learning. So all our resources are going to be live on the 10th of December. Isn't that a lovely welcome there? So have a look at the website. Now, if you have not received your link you need to contact us at the office of info@edushop.nz. You will have received an email from EduShop a couple of weeks ago. Many schools have not yet responded to that email, so we can't link you up. When you go online, this is going to be the opening page where you can see everything connected, the planning documents, the online index, the mapping chart, and that's where all the hyperlinks will be active, and then further support from us at EduShop. When you go on to further details within the website for looking for the contents page, and this is what you can download at numicon.co.nz right now as a sample, is that will provide the long-term plans, all of your planning and assessment support with links all the way through. So if you click on this column, it will show you all the overview activities. If you click in this column, it will take you directly to the lessons online. And that's a sample of the assessment that matches the teaching. When you go online and see everything there, there'll be an intro page, but this page has many links. So anything Oxford Owl online, anything turquoise is a hyperlink. So the reason I'm showing you that is to show how easy it is going to be to fulfill the New Zealand curriculum by using the Numicon resources. This is the band that's described here, and it is approximately 1 week of learning. So this is an example of a group plan where you can see what's going to be covered for that week, including the focus activities, and those will also be hyperlinked. There's a link to milestones with assessment, and if you want to know more about planning, join our planning Zoom that is to come. But there are 6 activities across this week. Looking back now at the curriculum, the New Zealand curriculum has dividing our lessons into 3 parts: of getting started, of working, connecting, and reflecting. So I want to show you how Numicon does these 3 different parts of your lesson. First of all, in the getting started part, there will be a conversation or a starter picture that you can talk about. So for example, when we're thinking about calculating, how many of the different flavors there create 6? How many ways can I make 6? And there's the discussion. Step 2, the children now represent that with Numicon pegs, and there is an image to illustrate this. And then step 3, you'll notice that there's a bit more direction there, but Numicon is not a scripted program. You use your words, your creativity for this. But this is an assessment cue for you as a teacher with some direction, how to record their work. So with Numicon, there are no workbooks. Children use exercise books or whiteboards to record their learning. And again, this is further information about how the learning is covered. And where you see a blue text there, that's where a picture comes up. Now there'll be a tab right at the end with these plus on, and these are the working part of the lesson where their children go and practice with their partner and they record their learning. The individual work, children compose their own adding and subtracting stories. Often we as teachers compose them, but with Numicon, children are encouraged to do this. There are also follow-up activities for going deeper, especially for our students who like to think deeply about maths in the pupil books with investigations for greater understanding. And that's what they look like. And these will be available for phases 2 and 3. We're still in the working part, and this time there'll be a link to the Explore More Copy Master. And this activity is designed as a game for homework. So you could send this home to your parents, and there are no homework worksheets with Numicon. They're all games that families can play. And we often get feedback that the children enjoy playing these throughout the year, and when the younger children come along and they see what their older brothers and sisters have done, their maths is flying. But now we're in the third part of the lesson, connecting and reflecting. And there is a link here which says whole class practice and discussion. So these are the suggested activities for conversations throughout the week that you can use to help children embed their understanding. Now, Firm Foundations, which is our year 01, on the website has a link that you can find it up there. And it covers similar aspects of the curriculum and how they're all designed. You'll find there are a lot of teacher supports on there, and the design of the lesson in those 3 parts is the same. When it comes to assessing children, you're going to be assessing while you're working alongside them, following a responsive teaching practice, end of the week or later, to reflect the learning that happens over time, and you'll just keep a record. So join our assessment session for more details on that. So that's the end of my presentation, and now it's question time. So if you have questions that you would like to put into our chat box, go ahead. And for those of you who are watching this recording, we will supply the information on the website.